initiator in terms of how these lane swaps go. It makes a lot of sense if you want to prioritize grubs, especially because teams in the LPL seem to not really care all that much about this early dragon, at least before the other objectives end up spawning. So it's just going to be a trade of resources, which in my opinion does end up favoring AL in this case, with Hope getting a freer laning phase without the cleanse, at least for now. But Tien is here and Flandra is alone on the Yorick.
Can always be a dangerous game trying to dodge this Yorick, especially knowing how well he can cut down the wave and obviously amass an army with the click of a couple of keys. The Maiden not to come out just yet for Flandra, but this dive is seemingly set in stone. Xiaohu's going to try and make it a 4 versus 1. So the first big play, the first big kill being hunted is onto Flandra. The stun lock is going to come across here, but his health bar is only down to about half, and Erha is going to fall to the turret. So Flandra makes it a 1-for-1, nearly making it a 2-for-1 as Tien also having to expend the flash. Very expensive dive for Weibo to only go 1-for-1.
Yeah, it's a little bit sloppy coming in from Weibo. It's clear they want to send the Aurora down to make this a bit more consistent, realizing that, okay, maybe just with Panthy able to grab these grubs for free is ginormous. Dragon's not even traded. Tien is just going to let this go down. We never see these grubs so easily acquired. We see so many teams, especially Tien-led teams, being so greedy at trying to get everything on the map. This is definitely not the Weibo that I remember. It's a big win for AL, but looking forward as to what that could potentially mean, you know, I'm expecting to see even more priority come down onto the bottom side of the map now, potentially from Tien, more specifically from Tarzan as he continues to clear down there after clearing the top side. But it looks like Dragon's going to be started now. It is going to be on Vision. See if they want to do anything about it. Hope's just going to make his way back to the top side. It looked like he could potentially be pathing there for now, but no play to be made, and a 500 gold lead for Weibo going to be stabilized by them countering the grubs with the Dragon here.
A trade like you mentioned, they were expecting to make, nonetheless, so they'll happily give that one up and still hold these lane assignments where they're currently.
AL are the early game team, and Weibo are the late game team in terms of the narrative as we see the equalizer dropped here, but it's not like AL are bad in the late game. Like,
oh, here we go, though. There's that Pantheon ult you wanted. Flandra does not have access to the flash. He's going to try and use the E to heal up as much time as he needs because the teleports are starting to come across. Main doing as much work as he can, but with the response teleport for Xiaohu, Flandra is going to fall, and Shanks will not be able to fly and try and trade any of those kills. There's the immediate Pantheon impact we needed from Tien.
Yeah, that was a necessary play for Weibo to make, and a really heads-up one. Breathe ends up using the equalizer at first, what looks like, as you called out, to clear the wave, something we see pretty standard from a lot of Rumble players around this level 8 power spike, but no, he actually gets enough damage that they pull the trigger with getting the Pantheon in there, and things kind of go back into their favor. It's a kill onto Rumble. It gets Breathe back into this matchup, which is huge. Tarzan potentially waiting this out. Probably not going to love to run into both of these members, but just going to 1v2. Who cares? We've got KL here. He's not scared.
Just Tarzan things. Knew he was going to be spotted, so he's like, well, if I'm going to take damage, I might as well be the one to initiate it, even how little damage he does end up.
Bottom side here, Xiaohu playing respectful enough to not walk into that brush. It could have been disaster for him if he did, but just going to be a dissuaded dive. And Dragon here is going to be started by Weibo.
They do have a lot more control over the river. They got pink boards on both sides of the river, and Kyle with a way too far forward escapade. That was a gift of a kill. Kyle, rarely out of position, is there, gives away a pretty big kill. The Dragon should be secured for Weibo, but the trade here is Flandra's Yorick being an absolute menace. Breathe trying to escape and flashes towards the enemy turret to try and buy space for the Flame Spinner, but his fate has been sealed. One more Scrap Shield is going to buy him a bit more time. At this point, it's just about wasting the time of Flandra because he has earned his first solo bolo on this Yorick.
Yeah, it's a huge trade for Flandra. We talked about this Yorick getting scarier and scarier. Not only does that kind of make up for the fact that that Dragon fight did not go as you wanted, with KL getting caught out so early on, just being disconnected from the rest of his team, but the more gold that goes on this Yorick, the scarier this late game gets for Weibo. Has been known to be caught out in sides at points throughout his career, so everyone
here
going
we
down.
Go. The Aurora Pantheon, this Riemann shuffle whiffs. And Xiaohu perfectly sets up Tien to fly in and get that Aurora a coveted kill back. Game 1, we're already going blow for blow. Each of these teams are matching each other, and right on tote, here it is. Breathe being the weak side. Unfortunate benefactory of another dive here from AL, who look clean on their play. Cross-map school going on right now, but the mid lane may have some action as well as Hope. Potentially spots out Erha looking for an engage angle, pops the Yomus. But we'll be able to stay safe under that turret and allow Flandra more space on that top side. And Tarzan might be looking for more here. Has the Herald, going to drop it in the mid lane. This is Anyone's Legend showing how well they play the map right now. But they have a team fight coming their way. The problem is Erha's taking a ton of damage on the front side of this, and they're going to get the stun through thanks to Sejuani. Hope hits another shot into the heart of Erha. Flandra is getting a tier 2 turret, and AL are still winning fights, breaking structures. This is why AL are so feared right now in the LPL.
What a fight from anyone's legend of everything from Weibo Gaming. Erha uses every last ounce of his CC to lock down Tarzan. There's just not enough damage, and now, Tarzan once again going to be the priority target.
But you're chasing a Sejuani with just Pantheon Leona. Not enough reliable damage to break through Tarzan's blockade. The latest time it starts to get a bit different now, and Flandra actually wants to fight Xiaohu, who gets his ultimate back up here. Flandra trying to use the Spade healing to out-trade Xiaohu, but he's not going to get the main up in time, and well, we start out rusty at points for both of our build paths start to evolve, but might be Kyle getting picked in nearly the same spot he died at that first Drake take. Burns the flash and the crash down to get out of the same brush he was claimed by Erha. But this time he has Tarzan to lead out. He's going to try and start the first fight out here. As the Pentakills member on the Rift, going to hold the front line down here for AL, who have made it clear that they are not going to be giving up Soul Point this early without a fight. Or Weibo up to the challenge, though, because Tarzan is going to look with the Glacial Prison, find his mark on its Tien. Maybe not the best target. Equalizer. It's a choke point for the Equalizer as well with the Aurora Ultimate. Kyle is going to fall for it. The crit shots don't find any mark just yet, but Shakes this time round gets to stand tall with his Sand Soldiers, and Hope is finding the shots to break the will of Weibo. A chokehold exactly where Weibo want to be fighting, but AL just better right now.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice equalizer. Xiaohu gonna try and pull off some miracle play here. He's stepping up. He wants to engage this.
He's too late, and he eats a deadly flourish right to the face. Xiaohu mispositioned. Tien comes in with the Grand Starfall. He's only gonna be able to trade Shakes here. Goes into the Unstoppable, but Hope hits another big crit shot. And Weibo, they just gift away an Anacon off the back of the Cloud Drake.
Slayer? What just happened? What was that call from Weibo Gaming? Xiaohu goes in 1v4, immediately gets a zero ulted and dies. Tien goes in after his entire team is dead. Stormtrooper
positioning all around. This game on this Jhin, he has been locked in. Flandra's been locked into these 1v2s a lot this series. Now it's going to be 1 versus 3s, but he uses the place, buys a bit of time here. Xiaohu teleports in with the Between Worlds. Flandra is going to die, but he's bought so much time and taken so many resources away from Weibo. They're completely split, but so is Shakes. He has to buy time for the rest of his team to get here. There's the current call over, and there is the alley-oop into the dunk, but the current call does get canceled, and that buys enough time for them to kill off Shakes. Now it is only Hope, the only damage dealer up here for AL, as their front line begins to crumble. Tarzan is going to have to bring the rest of Weibo away from them, and just like that, the team fighting that got it done for Weibo against JDG gets them a huge spot in game. Isn't that tanky? It's really susceptible to the damage that Hope puts out. This is going to bait Erha into that brush to get the pink ward down. Kyle not going to look for the snap engage here, as we have the 4th Drake, the 3rd Cloud, 2nd Cloud Soul of the game, hitting the Rift, and these are the same fighting lines that start off that big first AL fight win.
When you say let's go to breakfast, you mean let's go to McDonald's.
Just a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, this is a ginormous turning point for this game. We're going to see if either of these two teams want to full commit to this. It looks like Weibo want to step up.
It's the exact same choke here, K-Man. And Weibo thought they had the right fight, and they're going to try part 2 as Erha swings on into Hope, but goes way too far forward on his lonesome. Kyle punishes it. We're not going to talk about that Glacial Prison from Tarzan, because it looks like Weibo are content backing out for now. Their only target really going to be the Maiden, because Flandra, while his main counterpart holds the rest of Weibo at whole, is going to take the Dragon. So Erha's death is enough to dissuade Weibo from trying to play for Soul Point.
Ooh, it is a really, really close fight here. If Tarzan hits that ultimate, I think that could be a really big problem for Weibo Gaming. Luckily for them, it ends up going wide. But once again, it's AL just keeping their foot on the gas. We talked about how their comp is much better and more consistent in the team fights. Tien now looking for a potential desperate play. Shanks can just dash out there. More so just trying to get out on the map once again, coming in from base. But Baron is now the priority. 27 minutes into the game, the major objective up on the map. Vision control going to be what these teams are really prioritizing over the next couple of minutes. And if either of these teams end up winning a ginormous fight, that could be the turning point of this game.
It is big to take that ultimate off the board whenever you can get it, though, right? Because what's the big threat that is posed so much for AL in these recent minutes is that Flandra can't get comfortable in the side lanes, and your huge range of this, your Azir and Jhin, can get dove on by an instant with that Grand Starfall. So while that ultimate isn't down as long as it was earlier, nearly will be level 3, K-Man. This is a couple, a window, a small one at it, where AL feel very confident playing their style on the map.
Yeah, and they're going to show that death pushing Tien here. Ooh.
Okay.
I thought they were going to go for that.
I was pretty confident as well. But I like this. This is how AL should constantly go for their setups. get your side lanes pushing, those long waves coming across. Top side, somebody's going to have to answer. Somebody's going to have to catch that. Looks like it might be Breathe. And Flandre's going to get the bot side pushed up as well. So this is the real push and pull that Weibo are going to have to deal with and will dictate the game, is how they play, matching those side lanes and a potential Baron threat that could come their way.
Yeah, I need to see what AL want to do with Flandre. We've seen so many teams across this year in many different regions pick Yorick, get so much gold on him, and then team fight him in. Teleport him in for every single team fight. I want to see this Yorick be a nuisance in side lanes, force two people to go and match him. He is strong enough where Breathe alone is probably not going to have an easy time being able to deal with him. I think you can create so much pressure through that Yorick. We'll see if they want to be aggressive enough to go for it. For now, it's just KL and Shanks being able to control the area around this Baron. We'll see the vision be placed down and just generally trying to control the area of knowledge. But once again, Yorick moving to the bottom side of the map. It's exactly what I want to see. Force them away from this choke point and then do what you can to win the 4v3.
Talks about who brought over those big gold leads from the early game. On both sides, a lot of those players on 3 items, i.e. done for Hope. 3rd item in Terminus here for Light. We have 3-item Jack show on this Yorick. And to hell with leaving him on the weak side, Tarzan wants to give some love to his teammate, trying to punish this TP from Breathe, and he can't get it out in time. He's going to burn the stasis, just buying space for Weibo on the top side. But that is an absolute turn to the decimation on the side lanes we saw Flandre getting all game long.
Yeah, we talked about side lane pressure being important. Why not just make it, actual pressure? We don't have to make it just a Yorick split pushing if you have established so much vision around Baron. There's no way Weibo can walk up without, completely obliterating all of the setups that they have to put together to get there. So they know, Tarzan knows at the very least, that it's basically a free gank onto the bot side with no threat of repercussions on the top side. And they get that bot tier 2 for free. That opens up Yorick even more, and now they're just going to continue to dance around this Baron. They lose nothing for that play. It's a huge win for AL, and they could have another fight here.
I'm interested. Flandre has a wave crashing into a tier 3 turret, but he still walked all the way over here, showing the AL's priorities are going to be potentially this Baron. I wonder what this would have looked like if they just left Flandre on that top side. Sugar's a Pantheon and Aurora ultimate combination, but with Breathe off the map, it really felt like if he'd stayed bot side, it would have at least been traded for a Baron or something.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's playing around that Yorick that has really kind of bit a lot of teams in the butt throughout a lot of this split. And, we've seen teams that feel a lot more comfortable playing those side lanes than others. AL, a team that, while they are very calm and collected, they may not be the most consistent side laning team in the entire world. So definitely something I want to continue to see. I want to see Flandre pressure those lanes. But we see the teleport coming in from the Yorick. They're just going to start up this Baron.
All right, I feel like Flandre is strong enough to team fight 5v5. The Baron has been spotted being taken by Weibo. It's going to have to be Tien's ult, like you called out, K-Man, but they have no idea what Baron timer it's on, and he just doesn't want to pull the trigger into 5 members. And AL, with Flandre's TP, take a Baron for free. Everybody near this Baron pit, it's still Tarzan that's looking for fight angles, despite getting his team the Baron. The Glacial Person's going to fall a bit short, but they'll happily take control of this mid wave, and they might even be content trading this Cloud Drake up in 4 seconds for turret decimation.
Yeah, this is just a macro disaster class for Weibo Gaming. They're completely out of position. Baron is given over for free. Their base is going to get destroyed. They can't take this dragon.
They have Tien's ultimate for a flank opportunity, but like you called out, there are major waves pushing on 2 fronts right now that Weibo are going to have to clean up. You see Tien on the lower side of mid lane. He's not confident pulling the trigger because the team has to clean up so many of these waves. They're going to lose the top tier 3 just like that. Tien, where is that Grand Starfall? Because it looks like AL want to scrap, and they get Aaron of Erha with 2 shots of the curtain call, and it's just total chaos. Weibo are crumbling over the crushing might of anyone's legend. It's a complete rout of a fight, 4 for nothing, and just like that, game over. AL take our series lead.
Absolute masterclass from AL on how to play with the Baron buff, and they are going to run that masterclass right into the base to dominate game number 1.
A team in Weibo that was